Hello viewers and fans of the Pop Kid, and welcome to a brand new episode. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I have had the pleasure of seeing Star Wars The Force Awakens. It is amazing. I don't believe I actually am here today talking about the movie that I have been speculating about for so long. I don't know if my mind has yet processed that I've seen it, but it's definitely going to please you all. It's fantastic. We're going to get deep into this review of the film. This is a non-spoiler review, so nothing will be spoiled in this review. However, going up maybe a bit later today, I think, for when this video is posted, there will be a spoiler review as well. So let's jump into this spoiler-free review of the film. I've got a couple of notes here. And first of all, is that this film is very familiar to fans of the original trilogy. It's just fantastic. It's got so much heart. I think JJ said it himself on the red carpet. This film has so much heart, and it absolutely does. Sometimes that can let it down a bit. I may get into that a bit more later on when I get to the cons section. So this is all its pros. It's got a lot of humour and spirit. It's probably the funniest, I would say the funniest Star Wars to date. It's the one that's made me laugh the most at all, definitely. I'm not saying it's a comedy by any stretch of the imagination, but it has certainly got a fantastic heart, and in that and through that statement, through saying it has a fantastic heart, it has a lot of humour as well. We got through the cast of characters. All the newcomers are fantastic. I cannot speak highly enough of them, and the trend of getting new actors, new unknown actors for Star Wars continues very, very strongly here in this film. So, first up we have John Boyega playing as Finn. He does a fantastic job. He's oozing charisma. He's so charismatic, and you can see it on screen. You watch him on screen, and you just know that himself as an actor is just really happy and excited to be there, which I think is a fantastic thing for the audience to see. He isn't as prominent as the posters or the marketing for the film leads you to believe, and I may get more into that into the spoiler review, which is a really interesting point into there. Next up we have Daisy Ridley, who of course plays Rey. Rey, this isn't really considered a spoiler, guys, but Rey is the most prominent character in this film. She's definitely being built up to be something very special, and Daisy Ridley is fantastic playing Rey. She is superb, and you don't feel like you're watching an actress, you feel like you're watching Rey, this chick called Rey, and it's fantastic stuff. She's really, really impressive, and I'll dive into more about her character in the spoiler review, because I can't really say much about her character without getting anything too spoilery. Then we have Poe Dameron, who is played by Oscar Isaac. Fantastic job. He's also really soothing charisma as well, similar to Finn. Their scenes together are quite good. He is fantastic X-Wing pilot. He's not cocky, but he's overconfident about, that is cocky. I mean, he's confident in his abilities as a pilot. He knows, and he claims, and he knows it as well, that he is the best X-Wing pilot in the galaxy. So that kind of gives you a bit of a backstory about Poe Dameron. Then we go over to the villainous, the First Order side of things, and Adam Driver as Kylo Ren is spectacular. Adam Driver's performance is off the charts, and there's not much to talk about his character that you guys probably don't know at this point. Pretty much everything we've seen in TV spots, he's a bit obsessed with Darth Vader. He's got that kind of thing going about him. He really wants to fulfill what Vader started, and we all knew that from the trails and TV spots, etc. But I can't really get into anything new about his character without spoiling too much, so I'll get into that in the spoiler review a bit later on. Then we've got none other than Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma. I'll get back to this in the con section, because I love Captain Phasma, but it's something a bit disappointing about it that I'll get to a bit later. Then there's Domhnall Gleeson as none other than General Hux. He had a bit more prominence than perhaps I had thought. I don't know, going in. I didn't think he'd be all too major, but he was. He was really very impressive. He did a good job, and he is, as most people I think predicted or thought, the Tarkin of our generation. So that pretty much rounds out the new actors and cast for this film. I will talk a bit now about the motion-capped characters, of course being Supreme Leader Snoke and Maz Kanata. Really well done. I thought that Supreme Leader Snoke, you guys may have seen my previous episode on Snoke, he did really well, over 1,000 views, really good job on that episode.
is he Plagueis. And I'm not going to spoil that for you. But Snoke is fantastic. There are a lot of things that Andy Serkis gave away earlier. Definitely rise to prominence in the film. It's fantastic. I think he does a good job, but we don't really know much about him. Like, what I'm telling you now is kind of all I know about him, is that, like, I'll get into a bit of his, like, stature and what he's like in the spoiler review and who he is, but we actually don't really know much about his backstory. He's just kind of there, and I'll go into depth about that a bit later on the channel. Another, of course, Maz Kanata being the other mocap character. She's also not in it as much as I would have thought, but she's in it more than Snoke. Lupita Nyong'o, of course, does Maz Kanata. Very good job. Maz is fantastic. She's kind of like, this isn't a spoiler, but kind of like Yoda. Kind of like she's 1,000 years old. Yeah, she's old. That is her castle there on the foresty planet. I unfortunately forgot what it's called. That is her castle, and she's kind of like a pirate old chick. Yeah, it's really cool, and she's kind of like the wise one. Like, you know, you go to visit her, and she'll know what to do, that kind of thing. She is not a Jedi, but she is familiar with the Force. So, that is something that I believe Lupita said herself earlier, so that is not a spoiler, guys, don't worry about it. Then, next up, we have the spirit of the movie. I talked about it at the start, but it is amazing. There's so many funny sequences in the film. If I had to kind of nitpick it a bit, is that it's probably everyone seems to be in on the jokes. Like, maybe leave it to maybe Poe, Finn, BB-8, like those guys did it a lot of the time. But other than that, mainly Finn, he was good at it, and BB-8. Really, so some of the other guys probably didn't need to get into it as much as they maybe did. But there were some really funny moments with the cast that are, like, with the new cast that was fantastic. And the returning cast as well. One new cast member I forgot to mention, my apologies, guys, is BB-8. Everyone, I'm not going to say anything about BB-8 because BB-8's amazing. All you need to know is that he's amazing and that he's not the new Jar Jar. I swear. I promise you, he's not the new Jar Jar. That's all you need to know, and he's amazing. Okay, you're good for BB-8 now. Now, for the returning cast, Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. Not saying a thing to spoiler review. Not saying a thing. Carrie Fisher as General Leia, not Princess Leia. There was a cool moment with the whole princess thing in the film, but I'll get into that later. No, but she did a fantastic job. You definitely felt like it was Princess Leia, and I think that's what's really been well done. And she is the General of the Resistance. And lots of her role strikes back to A New Hope, which is also something I'll get into a bit later with its resemblance to A New Hope. Of course, then we had Harrison Ford as none other than Han Solo. Guys, his performance as Han Solo was superb. I was kind of a bit worried going in, like, yeah, is he kind of, you know, like, no offense, Harrison, but if you got a bit old and, you know, like, I'm not 100% sold on all this trailer stuff. Like, nothing seemed good. Han Solo is Han Solo in this movie, and you know he does all this kind of, like, he does kind of play a bit of the old Obi-Wan role, teaching giving the way, or giving the path, of course, to the new cast in that way. But he's still Han Solo in the way of doing it. He's not Obi-Wan control pasted whatever. He's done a really good job, and you definitely know it's still Han Solo all the way through the movie. Again, spoiler review, I'll get into all that stuff to do with the original cast later on. Next up is the action sequences in the film is superb. It's Star Wars, action sequences are fantastic. There were a lot of fighter action sequences, kind of brought me back to kind of the asteroid stuff in The Empire Strikes Back. Lots of that kind of stuff regarding the Falcon. Not as much ground combat, more, what would you say, like the fighter combat and aerial combat. One thing I really liked, and I'm going to do another episode on the channel later about all this kind of stuff with the First Order and the Resistance. I'll do another episode, you guys can stay tuned for that one. But what I really loved, really loved, was that the First Order is such more of a menace than the Empire. Like, Empire, you know, they're cool, they got stormtroopers, but the stormtroopers can't hit anything, and it's not, and you know, they didn't feel like they could actually do much, like, damage to anything. But the First Order, on the other hand, they'll do some damage. They're not afraid to kill. They're not afraid. They'll shoot to kill. Those stormtroopers are much more deadly now. They certainly have much more resemblance to the clone army these days. which is absolutely fantastic. Something else that the film touches on that I find really interesting is that George Lucas said if he was at the reins of Episode 7 that it would be a soap opera about family. And of course, Star Wars is a soap opera, and it would be a film about family, and that would be the core meaning of it. And I found that comment quite interesting when we got it a couple weeks back. But this film is really about family, and I don't know if JJ got that idea from George, or whether that's just where the series was naturally progressing. But this film is absolutely really themed about family. Once again, get into that spoiler review a bit further, but you definitely feel that theme kicking in for the majority of the movie. Something else is that I did an episode earlier this week, is that like Adam Driver said himself, that this film would be better than the prequels, and it is. He's right. It definitely is better than the prequels, and all fans are going to be happy. Sure, there's going to be some that the hype train is just so big, and it's going to let them down a little, and they're going to nitpick it, and things like that. I think it was just a superb film, and I think any true fan's going to love it. Does it have cons? Yes, it does, because I'm going to get to them in a minute. But they're far and few in between, and they're really don't mean much to me. This is a fantastic film, and if you're a Star Wars fan, you're going to love it. I know you will. Just don't go in with so much hype, ridiculous hype. It's going to be 5 stars, perfect, 10 out of 10 masterpiece, because then you may be a little bit let down. But at the same time, it is Star Wars, how we know and love it. This is without a doubt, continuing on that topic I just mentioned earlier, just then, is that this is the best Star Wars movie without a doubt since the original trilogy. As a matter of fact, I think I like it better than Return of the Jedi. I'm sorry Jedi, I think I like it better than you. It's a great film. But any film, I don't care if it's like a 10 out of 10 film, has its cons if you nitpick it, and I have done that. So I do have a couple of cons about this movie. I love it, but I have cons. First of all is that JJ has said in the past that A New Hope is his favourite Star Wars movie, and sometimes the further the movie gets in, the deeper you get into the movie, the more the flaws start to show. Not really flaws, but just you start to realise, hang on, this at points it's clear that this is A New Hope 2.0. And some things are more obvious than other. For example, I won't spoil it for you, but the use of Starkiller Base, and everyone knows it's kind of Death Star 3.0 or whatever it is, version 3, but it's used in a way that harkens, in my opinion, way too similar to A New Hope, and I won't spoil that way for you, but it feels like it's just kind of cut and paste the whole Starkiller Base thing from A New Hope, which was a bit disappointing. But you guys, I won't spoil that all for you. As I said, it's just probably at times a bit too similar to A New Hope, and Starkiller Base was a more obvious example of that. But once I got out of the cinema, I had more of a think about it. And I think, what else is similar to A New Hope in that movie? And if you really think about it, a lot of it, and I mean a lot of it, is very similar to A New Hope if you really think about it and match it up properly. But of course, I'll get more into the specifics in the spoiler review, so for about the 500th time I've said, I should probably stop saying that, but please stay tuned to the channel for the spoiler review. Now, another con I have is that some characters, Captain Phasma, is so good, and I just want more. I want more Captain Phasma. I didn't get enough Captain Phasma. I'm sorry, I didn't get enough Captain Phasma. I need more Captain Phasma in my life. That's pretty much a big con of mine. I'm just like, I feel like Captain Phasma was not on screen long enough. She is so good. I just want more. She feels like Boba Fett. She's so sick, and she doesn't pop up enough. I understand they wanted to limit her use to make it special, I suppose, but this still wasn't enough. Maybe just give me 2 minutes more of her. Put her in 2 more scenes, and I would have been maybe happy. Because Boba Fett wasn't in Empire that much, really, and people love him, but I feel like this was just not quite enough. So that's why I'm hoping that Captain Phasma is much more common throughout the rest of the sequel films. So guys, this has just been kind of my impressions / review of Star Wars The Force Awakens without spoiling anything for you guys.
It's a fantastic movie. You're gonna love it. That's kind of my summary. I'm not gonna give a score to it of any sorts, because I believe scores can't really be compared as different reviewers and different things. And I'm no reviewer, I'm no journalist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just here to give my opinion on the film, and I think scoring it would be the wrong thing to do in this sense and in this context. So make sure you guys let me know in the comments below if you've seen the film. How did you like it? Did you think it's as good as I thought it was? Were you a bit let down? Make sure you let me know. And if you haven't seen it yet, number one, I feel so sorry for you. And also number two, how excited are you for the film? Make sure you let me know in the comments below. And make sure you stay tuned to the PopCube YouTube channel for all of your Star Wars needs. I do hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave some feedback in the comments. If you're new to the channel, be sure to check out all of my other pop culture related content and subscribe if you like what you see. You can click on screen now to watch one of my previous episodes. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day.